Years ago, Gunther Wagner at Yale came to the realization that, well, this is related to the reason we love sex. Seems obvious, but it's actually because evolution likes us to have evolution. The faster you can evolve, the better you can survive. The best way to evolve and mix up your genes and have adaptability is to trade genes back and forth around. That's sex. Plus some other window dressing. Another thing that's really good for adaptation, he figured out, is modularity. That one system can be independent of another system, and you can change this system without breaking this system. Therefore, you can innovate and grow another arm when you need to. And if you have one cluster of genes pertaining mostly to one function and another cluster to a different function, and not as many cross-links, then the system is modular. And then it's more like the way we design things, and it's more like something we can understand, and less like chaos theory, which is undecipherable, provably. So the solution proposed by Aubrey de Grey is to repair the damage in the middle. There's some junk in the cells. Go in there and clean it out. A bunch of different ways of doing this. He calls that SENS. So that sounds like a great plan. Is there enough time? What about for us? Me? Our loved ones? Well, times are different now than they have been, and they're getting differenter in the future. Think differenter? This is a graph of computing power of the most powerful computers over time. And vertically, it's an exponential graph, which means every one of those lines is 10 times more powerful. Ray Kurzweil made this in 2005, and the blue line were predictions that came out perfectly well. And then I added today's fastest supercomputer, which is in China, the Tianhe 1A. And somewhere in there belongs Watson's Jeopardy. And looking along that continued projection, we see that it's not very many years now before the fastest computer in the world has as much processing power as a human brain. And then not that many more years after that, that the fastest computer in the world can completely simulate a human brain at the neuron level. So that's guaranteed to be able to simulate. Somewhere in between, we're going to find some humans that think better than computers. That's one way it's going to help us decipher and unravel the mystery of metabolism. Biological technology is also exponentially growing. This is a laboratory and a chip. It looks a lot like semiconductors. This is a DNA microarray. In one afternoon, one researcher using this machine can conduct almost 40,000 experiments, doing as much biological exploration as all of the biologists in the world in that afternoon 15 years before. And many other techniques being worked on in parallel. Nanotechnology, microscopic robots in your bloodstream to go into your cells and clean them out. If there isn't time for you, some of us are closer to the deadline than others, be frozen in liquid nitrogen and wait until our technology catches up with you. Gene therapy. Indeed, in our genes is our destiny, unless we change our genes or change the way our genes are transcribed into ourselves. There's regenerative stem cell therapy. So, what about you? What about us? Let's say right now, our technology, you saw that curve of increasing lifespan, gives you about 84 years. How are you doing on that 84 years? Are you getting closer to the end? How much time you got left? You get, maybe some of you are in there, or some of us are getting older, getting closer, but technology is racing along. So maybe 5 years go by, and you get an extra 2 years. That helps a little bit. An extra 5 years go by, and maybe 4 years more. Okay, that helps more. Maybe 10 years go by, and 10 years are added. That's accelerating technology. Now you're kind of like almost getting hopeful. And then 12 years. At that point, escape velocity. You're home free. So what about wisdom? And we heard about our elders earlier. Unfortunately, our elders are dying young. I'm talking about real elders. Imagine a world in which our people who, just as they're becoming wise, don't die off, but they are hundreds of years old and can remember the mistakes of the past and not repeat them. Imagine a world in which we are not distracted by getting to work on time to get that retirement nut so we can have enough money to not be slowly growing frail while we're poor. But thinking about longer-term problems, bigger problems that face all of us, like developing the technology to steer meteors away from the Earth before they completely destroy it, perhaps 500 years hence. I started off thinking computers are the coolest thing in the world and not thinking about biological technologies at all. Then I went to Harvard because I wanted to build an even more powerful computer, and at the time, the idea of building one out of biological components seemed really darn cool. And I learned a lot about biology and realized it's really fun. It's like an intellectually stimulating area, and there's a lot of diversity to it. That's fun for me. And then much later, after getting all of this biological education, I started realizing this is kind of doable. Biology is a mechanical, technological system, and we can hack it. What I'm doing for that is I'm working at a company called Halcyon Molecular in Redwood City, about 50 people, startup. And DNA sequencing right now is in a terrible state. It's very, very inaccurate. It's slow. It's super expensive. And yes, our destiny is written in our genes. Aging is inscribed in our genes. And in order to understand how to change our genes or change the way they're expressed, we have to understand our genes. And we don't. We don't understand this stuff. So we need, as Richard Feynman said, if you don't understand a problem, build a machine to look at it. So we're working on sequencing human DNA using electron microscopes. And it's a lot of fun. So you have two choices. You get option one, do work on curing aging now, or you can work on option two, a random fun project. And option one, you do another random fun project. And option two, oh, I'm sorry. And then option one, another fun project. Okay. So here we have everyone, all of us. A lot of us don't recognize that this is possible to cure aging. That leaves these are those of us on the left. Some others of us don't think that it's necessarily, aren't sure that it's necessarily a good idea. And then this small little bit of us right now are actually doing something about it. And I would like more people to join us in that project. Imagine a world of romance. Can you imagine a difference where presently romance involves marriage? You get together with someone, you have a great time for a while, then you start to degenerate. One of you dies. The other one's left alone, bereft, with post-traumatic stress disorder, and then it's over. Imagine love that is forever. I love you forever, and we will strive for that. And you believe it when you say it. Imagine a world which you have the romance of the 100 years that it takes to travel to the nearest star. Imagine a world in which people who are looking at sustainability can really believe and feel and imagine that they will be part of this Earth in 300 years. How is that going to affect how we care for this Earth and each other? Thank you.